Yes, ma'am.
I'm ready. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the April 16th, 2025 meeting of the Landmarks Commission. Tonight, item A on our agenda is information for the Zoom meeting. And as I can see, most of us know how to work that. B, roll call. Stephanie.
Everybody is here outside of Rebecca and she is excused.
Okay. Item C, approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No one's opposed. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the March 19th meeting. Everybody get a chance to look at those? And do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Regular business. Number one, certificate of appropriateness 25-07, consideration with possible action on a design review for new sign located at 117 North Adams Street. Jason, I presume.
117 North Adams Street is in the downtown historic district here on the east side. This calls for a new projecting sign to be installed on the Angelina's storefront. And there you see a picture of the sign with the little symbol for Sicily, I think. Excellent. And roughly that's where it's going to go on the existing storefront. And staff recommends approval of the proposed sign.
Any discussion on this matter, anyone? Do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the sign as presented.
Okay, Steve. And Susan is seconding it. Looks like she's on mute, but that was a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the sign. All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 2 on the agenda, COA 25-09, consideration with possible action on a design review for a new garage located at 621 South Monroe Avenue.
621 South Monroe Avenue is in the Astor District. This Queen Anne house, it has no garage currently. The owners would like to put a garage in, tucked in behind it. Here's a site plan showing roughly where that's going to go. We have a little view of what that garage is probably going to look like. And I got a staff recommendation to approve the garage as presented.
Okay, everyone, but we have a recommendation here to approve. Does anyone want to discuss or talk about the matter? No, and do we have a
structure? Yeah.
Sorry?
A secondary structure in the back. I don't see any reason why we'd have much to say about it whatsoever. I would motion to approve this garage.
Okay, Steve has a motion to approve. David is raising his hand as a motion to second. Having a motion and a second, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposition? No? Okay, good. That motion carries as well. Enjoy your garage. Item number 3. Is anybody here representing item number 3, by the way, Stephanie?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious because I noticed there's some discussion in there. Okay, consideration with possible action on a design review for new windows located at 402 Dousman Street.
402 Dousman and this COA in its entirety is it's a repeat visitor. A COA was granted in February of 2024. This COA application calls for effectively a renewal of that. It's for the windows in this building here. You may recall, and you may have seen, that the concrete blocks have been removed from the 3rd story window openings. So some progress there. And this COA is asking for the same thing that was approved last year. So skipping ahead, one more yet again, the staff recommendation is for approval, but I really want to reiterate the same conditions that we had last year. There's still the open question as to whether or not there's any historic material in the transom areas of the storefront or, the steel headers. And that if there's any historic material there, that should be repaired rather than replaced. Also, all the window and door frames where they're replaced down at the storefront level should be painted, not an anodized finish. And the storefront windows need to have a visual light transmittance of 72% or greater. So recommendation with these caveats. Thank you.
I am curious to see if the applicant's going to be able to meet the conditions, particularly investigating the historic material that was hidden. So, given that a person's available, I'm going to make a motion to open the floor.
Second.
Having a motion and a second to open the floor, let's, all in favor, aye. Let's open the floor here. Go ahead, David.
Sure, I'd like to hear from the applicant addressing Jason's points about investigating historic material.
Sure. Mike, I saw you raise your hand. Mike Garso, are you that particular person?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
here on behalf of the property owner. In terms of like three different items here, one is the non-anodized finish and the windows, the design elements, everything has been consistent and nothing has changed on that front. In terms of the inspection, this is a while ago. I don't recall exactly how we did that. If someone came and walked through, or if we provided pictures, I'm happy to do so again. There is nothing there outside of that metal beam, which just like 408 Dousman will be in the design. It's literally just like plywood. That's all that's there. So if the committee needs pictures or a walkthrough, I'm happy to do that. We did go through that last time. I just don't recall.
All right, I think I can address your question, Mike. Jason, can you help us out here? If I recall correctly, the issue was that some material was potentially hiding or covering other of that glass. Is that correct?
My recollection is just that it was an open question, that it had not been demonstrated as to whether or not any historic transom windows were present. I think somebody had stated that they weren't, but I guess I didn't trust them.
So my question for you, Mike, is that if there is historic glass there, that transom glass, would it be your intention to preserve that?
If there was, it would be. However, there is not. It's just plywood. And I'm happy to provide the committee with any of that. We went in there and it's literally tore out to the plywood. There's zero historical material behind there.
Well, I think then you found what we didn't have the last time, if I'm recalling correctly. And frankly, your word is good enough. We wouldn't need to demonstrate any further than what you're saying here. So I'm good.
Appreciate it. And just one more update for you guys on this. We are ordering the windows, I'm told, by this Friday. So that process has been going on. And in case anybody's wondering, we went through a couple of different construction models with a couple of different companies, and had to work it around to make sure that it worked with the debt service. It's pretty tricky with that kind of a building, and had to do some engineering and all that. So now the ball is finally moving forward, so you can finally see some progress here.
So my question for you, Jason, is given your concerns about the glass and the transom window, are you satisfied?
The only open issue that I could perceive of at this point is the visual light transmittance for the storefront windows. I don't know what has been specified for storefront windows, but 72% or greater is a relatively transparent piece of glass. So that's the only caveat that I'd still like to see in any motion to approve.
So Jason, if we had the applicant submit the glass that's being ordered as a follow-up, would you find that sufficient for your use for a staff approval level?
If it said 72% or greater, yes, it would.
Right. I mean, I know that there's only a handful of glasses on the market that carry anything higher than a 71%. Mike, if you can provide something saying you're putting the low iron glass in that from whichever manufacturer, it should have the light transmittance data published right on it. If you ordered windows, that information should be present.
Yeah, correct. I just question on that. Nothing has changed from the previous that's been provided to you. Do you want me to resubmit those, or do you have those on record still?
I don't believe there was an actual glass data in there. Was there, if I'm remembering right?
I haven't seen glass data except for the second and third story windows. So
Okay, I'll make sure I get that for you. But to that point, we're working with Packard Land Glass. I think one of their contractors that they're using for this is Marvin, and they've specifically been informed not only for the Landmarks Commission but the facade grant that the VLT has to be 72% or greater, most specifically on the first floor, and the non-anodized finish has to be the whole works. So that's a non-negotiable with them. So that won't be an issue.
Okay. And that suits me. I don't need to push on it any further than that.
I'll resubmit that to you guys as well, just so you have it for a file, and then I'll dig up some old pictures, or I'll go take some more pictures just of the interior, just so that you have them for your file, just for peace of mind.
thank you.
Yeah, right, fair enough.
Appreciate the efforts, Mike.
Well, having
Absolutely.
heard Mike's efforts, do we have a motion to close the floor?
So move.
And I think there was a nod from David, a second. All in favor to close the floor? Sure. Okay, then Steve, did you want to make a motion that you were talking about?
Yeah, so I'd make a motion to approve pending final staff verification on the glass material.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Looks like Susan is saying a second. Having a motion and a second, all in favor of that recommendation, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. That motion carries. And thanks again, Mike, if you're in the background, for your help here. We're on item number F, informational staff level COA applications. Stephanie?
Sorry, I was just taking some notes. We had, I believe, 2 COAs since our last meeting. The first is a fence at 1000 South Jackson Street. This house also is the recipient of one of our revolving loan fund applications. So they're doing a lot of updates here. It's a new owner, so that will be really exciting. And then we had a repaving of a driveway and a front walk here at 939 South Quincy Street. So both of those were approved. And that's
Okay,
it.
any more questions, anyone on it? No? Okay, number 2, staff update.
I had told you guys last time that I'd be coming back with this. I have some text amendments that we're going to be bringing forward to Plan Commission and City Council. So our preservation code lives within our zoning code, which is why the Planning Commission has to do the review of it. So that's where all of our zoning code text amendments go. So we had talked about just doing a very small update to expand our staff level COA approvals, but we also have this section of code here, which basically determines who can give approvals. Through some discussions between some of our staffers, we realized that adding this language in the red would give some clarification on who can issue a COA and when they can do that. Because this reads a little bit like any of us can do it, which is true, but it's in accordance with this section here. So we wanted to have that clarified. And then in addition to that, it will jump to this section, which is where it clarifies. There's a paragraph ahead of this that will remain the same. But we wanted to make the following changes to the staff level COA allowances. So the first change would be for unattached accessory structures. We originally had this written as non-visible, but we've had some that are visible, but it seems like such an easy review because they're accessory, they're unattached, they're small, they can come and go as they please. That's kind of what accessory structures do. So we felt that this would be a comfortable one for staff approvals, given that, it's usually a shed, sometimes a greenhouse, very small structures here. The next is the replacement of your existing siding with identical siding. We're just adding this language to be a little bit more clear because we've gotten a lot of questions about that one over the years from applicants. So making sure that that language is clear. For commercial signs, we thought that these could be approved at a staff level overall. Over the past 5+ years that we've been doing this, we've never had any real discussion about a commercial sign coming before us other than, hey, install that correctly, which is what we're going to tell them at a staff level too. We don't really look at the signs themselves because there are a lot of constitutional rights when it comes to signage. And we don't have much in our code that can stop particular materials, but generally speaking, we're looking to make sure that it's architectural grade materials and that they're installing them correctly, which we feel we can do at a staff level. Looking back at the minutes, we haven't had much robust conversation about commercial signage. It's mostly been like, oh yeah, install it right, and that's about it. So thought we could take that one in-house here. The last three we are adding that are not currently part of our staff level COAs that we'd like to add. One is installation of any cellular utility towers. Again, that's mostly about installation, making sure that the impacts aren't to the building themselves. We've only had a few come through, but the approvals have been very rubber stamped from Landmarks. So we feel like we can take that on in-house. Looking at different rooftop alterations, we could just have those skylights at Gather on Broadway. And that seemed so no-brainer because you couldn't see it from a public right-of-way. So we're thinking solar panels, skylights, any sort of mechanicals in the screenings. If it's not visible from public right-of-way, that would be a staff approval. If it's visible from public right-of-way, that would still land in your court. And then the last one is repair or replacement of decks, porches, and balconies that are not visible from the public right-of-way. We've had quite a few of these that have been either completely concealed in the back or they're, jump porches that you can't see from the front. Trying to limit the amount of COAs that we're bringing here that we really always end up going, yeah, staff recommendation is good on that because they're not visible from the public right-of-way. So these recommendations were made off of conversations that we've had with applicants, but also us going back and reviewing the COAs to see what those recommendations have been, how much discussion it had at Landmarks Commission, and then how much you guys immediately go, yeah, move to approve. So trying to keep the ones that seem a little bit more straightforward, that always have the same conditions on our list, and bringing you guys the ones that require more thought and discussion. So if anything is jumping out to you here, this is the time for us to have this discussion. This has not been brought forward anywhere other than to SHPO. They've already reviewed this. They're on board with these changes, which we need to do for our CLG status. So from this point, after we get done here, it'll finish its route in our law department and then make its way onto the Plan Commission agenda. So any thoughts, concerns?
It's my understanding that Jason is now a full-time City of Green Bay staff employee. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So you were advisory and then volunteer advisory, and now you are straight up real deal staff. And you're involved in what these staff reviews would be looking like from a certificate of appropriateness standpoint?
I certainly can be, yes.
I mean,
Stephanie, I'm impressed with the recommendations. You're talking about avoiding the rubber stamps, making things easier. I think these are great ideas.
yeah,
Yeah,
feels
I
like
concur. I do concur with David on that as well. These are things that just absolutely make sense. Especially the out of sight and, on top of the building and all that. As long as they're not damaging structure, I don't understand why staff could not just approve it. Yes. So I agree with David on that.
I agree.
is there a path where if you have to make a judgment call, it can go back to this committee instead of staff? I'm thinking about if I remember right, the commercial sign installation. I think I was pretty early on to this committee, and building over on Broadway. I don't remember what company purchased it, but they were doing some improvements across the board. They had submitted for 2 signs and we had actually only approved one of them. Does that ring a bell to anybody?
Mechanical when they moved into that location.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super comfortable with the staff approval in general, but if it's a fuzzy one, do you then take it on to us thereafter? Or how does, like, what's the discretion there if you're struggling with it, I guess?
Well, right now, if any staff approved, or if any staff COA gets denied, they can appeal that to you all. That's the current process.
Okay.
If we felt like it felt outside of our expertise, Jason and I can always use you all as a voice of reason, just to send an email and say, hey, we're not sure how we're feeling on this, and get your opinion that could inform our opinion.
Sure.
But there isn't like a, hey, this is staff, unless we don't like how we feel about it, then it goes.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe
So
that's
right now,
poorly phrased.
you. So if we felt like it was a bad project and someone's like, I don't care what you think, I want the Landmarks Commission to take it up, that would be the route then.
Stephanie, question for you. You just said something I hadn't thought of before about staff level rejecting COAs. It just occurred to me, we see the ones that have been approved. So my question for you is, how often are you rejecting a COA at the staff level?
Ever. We haven't yet. The rubber stamps for a reason. They're supposed to be easy for my non-historic preservation degree brain to be able to process them. So
That's not to say we don't receive applications that are like fundamentally incorrect, where
Okay.
it'll say, this is for staff approval, and I want to replace all my windows, in which case it effectively, we take it and we say, well, no, that's not a staff level thing. We then bump it up to Landmarks Commission. So that happens. I suppose if we had a staff level application that was truly staff level and staff was inclined to deny it, my course of action would be to take it to Landmarks Commission with a recommendation to deny. I suppose we could just deny it at staff level and wait and see if it's appealed, but I don't know.
yeah, the ones that are at staff level are usually simple enough that if something's missing, or I don't feel like the project, like I have the full scope, I just ask for it and they supply it and we get to the yes. Because they're not complicated projects. I mean, you can see here that they're, it's a fence. I'm like, oh, yeah, but there's nothing in our fence code that would allow me to deny most of them anyway. But if I'm looking for like a gutter replacement and they're like, okay, I'm gonna replace my gutters, and they don't give me enough information, or if it's something I feel like I would normally deny, I just ask for the information. I give them a reason why it doesn't feel right, or if it's against our code in some way, they would respond, we get to the yes. So far, we've never had to deny any of them.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm with David and subsequently Ron. I think this is great. I think, so much of what we see is such a no-brainer, and I don't want to undermine the process, but shorter agenda better.
Yes.
I think this is cool.
If there's anything else, I mean, it won't take, it's not like we're gonna bring it to planning commission tomorrow. So if there's anything else that comes up when you're like, man, I hate hearing these applications during the meeting. Let me know, because this is just with conservative. But if there are other things that you feel like we could handle in-house, pitch it to us and we'll see how we feel about it too.
And you said too that these changes have already been submitted and approved by SHPO.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just curious. I thought you said that. Sure. Gang, anybody, anything here? Is this something that we need to motion and approve or no?
Nope, this was just informational. I wanted to
Just
make
informational. Gotcha.
there were
Sure.
things missing.
Okay.
So if anything comes up, shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add here today? Ooh, that's a quiet crowd. Look at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the date of our next meeting will be May 21st, 2025. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion. And there's a second from David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, gang. Nice to see
Thank
you all.
you.